we can earn money and give back to the society at the same time. So it shouldn't be a question where we are supposed to choose between earning money and then doing service, because we can do both at the same time.
Thanks for being so honest.
Yeah. It's not a question. Like, why do you think that NGO owners don't earn money?
Hey guys, welcome to Rawcast.
By TEDx Webs.
This is Raj,
This is Annika.
brought to you by Mankind Pharma. So guys, आपने कोविड में काफ़ी सुना होगा, काफ़ी लोगों ने घर से अपने बिजनेसेस स्टार्ट किए, लेकिन आज हमारे पास ऐसे गेस्ट हैं जिन्होंने घर बैठे हुए अपना एनजीओ स्टार्ट किया.
और as they like to call it, सेवा start करी लोगों की. So please welcome Khushi and Manshika from Warriors Without a Cause. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure. So just to give the audience a little bit brief about your NGO, can you just tell the audience what it is that your NGO does, and just a little bit about that how do you help people?
Yeah, so we started our NGO 3.5 years ago. We were we were in our 12th grade, so we were quite young, and it didn't start at something big. It was quite small. We started from our homes. We didn't have any money. We didn't have anything. So it started as something very, very small, and now we have a team of 300 more people. And we have a lot of projects, but there are three main things we focus on. First is education. So we provide education to underprivileged kids, especially kids who have been impacted by COVID. Their schools got shut and they didn't have anywhere to go. So we used to go to slums, and we still do. We have adopted 20 plus slums just in Delhi NCR, and our NGO is also pan-India. So we have slums in Bombay and Pune and Chandigarh. Very recently we opened a branch there. So education is one. Second is employment. So we have a project called Be Her Hero. And in that we have underprivileged women. So we go to the slums, we teach them how to do crochet. So basically teach them skills. And so it's essentially for financial independence. And we sell those products on behalf of those women, and then all the proceeds go to them. And third is healthcare. So one of the main, there's a lot of aspects to it, but one of the main things is sanitary pad distribution and menstrual awareness, amongst a lot of other things. But yeah, this is we've distributed I don't know 5+ lakh sanitary pads all over India, and yeah, those are the main three things seva we do.
And then with crochet, how do you guys coordinate that? How do you make them aware कि okay हम आपको crochet सिखाएंगे and फिर आपको ये करना है, and do you have specific people who know how to do it, and then they go and teach them? How does it work?
So it's basic upskilling, right? And so we initially started with 15 women, and we had students who were volunteering with us who knew how to crochet. And in India it's very prevalent, the knitting and crochet is very prevalent, especially in women. So they knew the basics. We just taught them how to use the proper yarn and use the proper needles, and we taught them how to crochet halter tops. And they didn't know what halter tops were, they didn't know what other kinds of materials were. So we taught them that, and that's how we started. And now every weekend our team goes, and we give them the raw material, and they make products for us, and then we go and collect them, and then we sell them into the market.
अच्छा, at the time of COVID everything was shut down. तो basic idea क्या था कि यार हमको ये चीज स्टार्ट करनी है, क्या आपके दिमाग में?
It was so we are 4 founders, and all of us were best friends in high school. So हमारा भी स्कूल बंद हो गया था. So we were just sitting at home. We used to watch the news all day. It was so it was kind of depressing, to be very honest. And we were firstly grateful that we have a house. We're in a safe environment and everything else, but at the same time just looking at what underprivileged people are going through. They don't have anywhere to live. A lot of underprivileged people who were in the city working as XYZ, they were traveling back, they didn't have any transport. So it was just quite sad looking at it. So we were okay, as 12th graders, 16, 17-year-olds, what can we do? So we started with something very small. We as I said before, we didn't have pocket money. We didn't have much to start from in the beginning anyway. So we thought okay, let's start with something on a very, very, very menial, small level. So we started with just distributing sanitizers and masks at that time. that is all the money we had for that. And we started that, and then we posted about it on our personal social media accounts, and then a lot of people like really liked it. We got a lot of encouragement, and people like, I want to join, like they wanted to join, and we were like, there is nothing to join yet. Like the NGO had like, we never thought like we'll start NGO. We just started as like a small seva from a 16-year-old girl, and then I think we owe it to like the people. Their response is why we started it, and now we have a huge team with that we're very grateful for.
And also, I remember that our first drive was a mask and sanitizer drive, as she said. And, we went into slums. It was in Dehradun at the time. And we were not allowed to move anywhere. But we took permissions and all. And then we went. And people over there were like, COVID is the least of our concerns. At the time, everyone was saying, ये तो बहुत अमीरों की बीमारी है, हमें नहीं होती है, because their primary concern was where to get food from, where to get the next meal from, where to live. And we were like, we are cribbing here about not being able to go to school or not being able to go out, and then people on the other side don't have a place to live, they don't have food to eat. And so that was really devastating for us to see. And that is when we thought that this is not just about what we think they need, but what they actually require. And it's not just masks and sanitizers, it's much larger than that, and the problem is much larger than that. And that is when we actually started working towards the cause that we do today. And
What was the reaction of your parents? Like कोविड के टाइम पे किसी के पेरेंट्स अलाउ नहीं कर रहे थे बाहर जाने के लिए.
It was difficult in the beginning for sure. I remember my first drive that I did. It was an individual drive. So before we did like masks and sanitizers, but like it was all 4 of the founders. But then I think a few days later, I had like a lot of like clothes that I had to donate, new, old, and like good condition clothes. And and I realized that again, what she said, their concerns were a lot more than masks and sanitizers. A lot of them didn't even like know what a sanitizer is, because again, COVID was not their concern. It was not at the top of their heads. So I went to donate clothes with my mother. She drove me to this place close to my house, and that was still okay because she was the one taking me. She drove me there. We wore masks. We were super safe. We distributed the material. We sanitized ourselves and everything. So up until that point, it was okay. But then when we started, this is also before the NGO was established. So once it was established, again, the beginning views were a bit like concerning. Ki, how are you going to do this alone? Like you're like 16, 17-year-olds. You don't know how to get registered. And also another big concern was safety. All 4 of us are women, so it was very and the slums that we go to are like very deep, and like especially if it's like our parents told us like you cannot go after 4 p.m. You have to like whatever you want to do, please. Like they loved our work. We got immense support, but that safety issue was there, and I believe it is still there. We're 21 now, and I still believe like they're still like we're established, and that safety concern.
I mean, we had boards, right? I mean, we had 12th grade. I was in PCB, so I remember, I still went to tuition. In COVID, I went to tuition. So I was taking personal coaching, and then my parents were like, you can't do this, man. You can't do this. Just focus on your studies right now. You can do whatever the hell you want later, but not right now. So, and a lot of... Initially, 70 to 80% of our volunteers were also female.
Right.
And so when we went to the slums, a lot of parents of the volunteers also had a lot of issues with girls going to slums. So initially I remember that we had a few policemen also who went with us to slum areas for our protection, because we didn't know what was going to come to us. So we did that initially, but then we built a rapport with the people and we got to know about them. So then I think it was okay, and it's going pretty well.
Moreover, also a lot of the volunteers, a few of them were even more younger than us. So I remember their parents used to come and drop them at like wherever the seva is being taken place. So they used to come and meet us. are you gonna take care of my daughter? Like, is every like how like tell us the procedure. When is she gonna be free? How long is it gonna take? So I remember those questions also. And at that time we were still minors, so we tried our best for our safety and more than us others' safety, because our parents literally used to come to us and like call us also. Ki, are they free yet? Are you guys okay? So yeah, it was difficult in that sense also. So we got like lots of reaction, but yeah, I think now we have nothing but support from our parents and our parents
That's
and
great.
volunteers. Yeah.
So you're basically kind of somewhere trying to say that it is a little bit more difficult if
Yeah.
you are like a woman in
100%. Everything is difficult if you're a woman in the society. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And also then talking about registration, how difficult was it to like, you know, get yourself registered and then become like an established NGO? Could you like walk us through that as well?
We didn't know anything, and you know, this question came to us before also in an interview, and people were like, who was guiding you through this? You know, your parents or like some, you know, like professional person? And we were like, nobody guided us through it. It was just us four brainstorming through it, googling every little thing,
Yeah.
and we were just figuring it out on the way. And I remember that when we wanted to get registered, we connected to a CA, and then we talked to him, and then he guided us through the process. And when we got registered, it was mad. We were like, what have we done?
Yeah.
We've created this thing out of nothing,
Yeah.
and we're here right now making a difference. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was a long journey though. And you know, we actually got registered a year after we started working, because we really didn't know
Yeah.
anything about getting registered. And there are different acts also under which you get registered. So all of that as well, we had to Google everything. We had to make ourselves aware of whatever there is in the society and how NGOs can benefit from the laws that government has for them. And so yeah, I mean, it was
If only I
okay.
was a law student by then, we wouldn't have had to do so much research. But yeah, and also I remember on the day of the registration, so we all live in a bit far away from the Delhi office. So when on the day of the office, we had to wait in. It was peak summers. It was, I think, I don't know, I think May or something like that. Or maybe like a couple weeks before that. But I remember on the day we had to wait in line for 4 hours in like peak heat, and it was, yeah, on that day it was not fun. But I remember towards the end when our turn actually came and our pictures were being taken for the official photograph, we had our thumbprints and we had to sign like 50 different pages.
Yeah.
I think that's when it hit us. We started from scratch. We know, like, none of our family members were ever in this sort of a seva or a business, if you want to call it that. But yeah, it started from scratch, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So when you got registered, were you guys still like minors, like underage?
No,
No,
you can't get
yeah.
registered.
Yeah, that's
if
what
you're-
that's what I
yeah.
was gonna ask.
Yeah.
So that is why we got registered after
A year
a
later,
year,
yeah.
because you can't register
Yeah.
unless you're 18.
Yeah.
So as soon as all of us turned 18,
Yeah.
we got ourselves registered.
So in the past 3-4 years, what are the major achievements that your NGO has done?
I think Be Her Hero project, like what I talked about, I think it is really something that I wouldn't say it's that innovative. I'm sure people have done something like this before, teaching skills and making a business out of it. But again, starting from scratch, we had no idea what crochet is ourselves. We had to like look for people who know, because we don't know how to do crochet, right? So we, again, a lot of research goes into it, the type of material, the type of hooks. We had to interview a lot of people who have a small business in crochet and trying to get them to go to the slums, teach the women. It took us months to establish that, and also teaching the women. It's not like they can understand in one go. We had to, for weeks and weeks, every single week, and I feel like it's still growing. It has still a lot of room for growth, and it's still not perfect, our Be Her Hero project. But and another thing that I would say is our response team is very quick. So I remember a few months ago, the flood happened in the
Right.
Mayur Vihar region. Within, I believe, like 6 to 8 hours, we were on the field working. As soon as it happened, we started making calls and getting food to people. We got medical trucks also, and so yeah, I think that's nothing. Our response, so any catastrophe that happens, we make sure we're on the field within, like, I'd say 2 to 6 hours.
Yeah, and also when So in one slum in Noida, there were no washrooms, and there was like a cloth that was covering a toilet, and that was it. And it was in the middle of nowhere. So we installed washrooms which converted waste into clean water. So that was really, I think that was the best thing that we did.
Yeah.
And it helped people a lot. Because for women especially, I mean, you need clean washrooms. You need washrooms that are safe, sanitized, and also like private,
Yeah.
and also not in in like an open space. So yeah, I think that was amazing. And also, when people tell us the impact that we've made, because the major reason that we work with people for people is because we don't want to give them temporary aid. A lot of some people or like underprivileged people tell us that NGOs come, they take photos, they go, and then they never come back. And but our motive is just to give them permanent help, even so that even when we're not helping them directly, they're still getting some sort of help, and they're still benefiting out of the work that we've done with them. And that is our major goal, and I think that is the best that we can do.
But Vanshika and Khushi, like, with whatever you said, it feels like that what cause you have. So why the name Warriors Without a Cause? Like, I'm just curious, like, what does it mean? Like, it feels like आपको पता है आपका cause क्या है, whether it's long term help, whether it's ये. So yeah, like, ये name क्यों choose किया आपने?
So we were asked this question like,
All the time.
So when we started, as we were talking earlier, I mentioned that news comes and goes, and there's some topic that comes up and then it dies down. People talk about it for a while, like farmers' protests or like whatever in the like the genocide that's happening right now is people will talk about it for a period of time and then they will stop talking about it. And that is why we've named Warriors Without Cause, because we don't want a reason or we don't want a cause to make change. We just want to make a continuous change. We don't want to make it for a particular period of time, or we don't want to make it for like we did this, okay, stop, we're done. It's not like that. It's a continuous thing, because change is continuous. You can't stop change, right? Evolution is always happening. So I just feel like, we don't need a reason or like a blunder to happen for us to make change.
How do you guys manage your studies and NGO?
It's tough.
Do
man.
we?
It's really tough. Again, in the beginning, I feel like it was still a bit easier because we were still in school. And also it was COVID, so we didn't study. So we had
Our both got cancelled.
Yeah, our both got cancer. So it was like we had all
But
the
that
time in the
much.
world at that time. So it was very, very easy. And we thought like this is gonna continue, this is how it's gonna go. But we were in for a lie. We as soon as we went to college, and again the beginning, like a year or year and a half of college was still okay because we were still in our establishing years, but it just keeps getting like difficult every single year of our, and now two of our founders are getting graduated. Congratulations. So now they're gonna be in a master's course or preparing for like exams. So yeah, it's gonna get more and more difficult, but with that also our team also keeps growing, right? In the beginning it was just 4 of us, and now we also have a board of directors, and we have a managing director. We have again, at that time we had like 20 people, now we have 300 plus people. So the more the people, the easier the work, and the more work gets distributed as well. So yeah.
Also, like, you go to like a university where you have to live on campus. So does that make it even more difficult because you can't always be present? Because I know you guys are thinking कि अच्छा weekdays पे ऐसे नहीं randomly बाहर निकल सकते.
And also like we're in a private college.
Yeah.
So the attendance is mandatory.
Mandatory.
Like
Yeah.
you have to go to class. You can't miss
Yeah.
class. So it does get tough. But I mean, I don't think Warriors is work for us.
Yeah.
Like it's never been work for us. It's always been a lifestyle. It's always been something that we want to do on our own. Like classes we don't want to go to, but work we want to do, right? So yeah, I mean it's never been work for us. So I think it works out that way. Yeah.
And also, like, has your, like, you know, have you or like your NGO ever been like accused of something that, you know, like, whether it's, you know, laundering money or whether it's anything that, you know, you guys are just faking it, you're not helping anyone, like, come on, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We started off only with these allegations.
Yeah.
These girls are just doing it for their CV. They're just doing it to get into a good college. They're just it's so temporary. They're just doing it to get clout.
Yeah.
And what
Like,
else?
They just want to post on social media and
Yeah.
like look cool. And no, it was not like that. Disclaimer at all.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and we still get it to some extent. Sometimes, like not often, but like a couple of people working in our NGO who've been working for months, have also put these allegations that, you know, you're earning money for yourself, and whatever funds we get, you keep like some part of it to yourself, and that's not true. And whenever an allegation like that comes, we wanna like clear it right then and there. So we have a CA, we pay taxes, we have balance sheets maintained, we have financial sheets maintained. Even if someone donates like 1 rupee, which people have, and we're still very grateful for even that, we write that in our financial sheets. And even if 1 rupee goes out to, you know, whatever substances or material we're buying, every single thing is noted. So yeah, whenever someone like and it's okay. I feel like it's okay to ask. I feel like it's great to ask questions. We love critique, constructive criticism, and we want people to, like, you know, question us. We also want like people to take in. This is sort of like taking an interest in this NGO. Like, are you really working? So we love proving that, because we know we're working.
At least
So
you're talking about Warriors Without.
yeah. So yeah, it's not that big of an issue. But whenever someone like raises a question, we love it and we like to answer it right then and there.
Yeah. I was talking to her about it, that we made a bet that, you know, whoever can find out a discrepancy in our funds, I will give them 5,000 bucks. So I want to say it on this podcast also. If you can find a discrepancy, we will pay you. That's how confident we are.
Yeah.
that's great, honestly. Do you recall, like, what's the biggest amount of money that you've ever received as, like, donation? Or, like, not money, also just something in kind, like, do you just recall ki, or, like, from, like, a person or an organization?
An engineer times. But
That's true.
I mean, we receive clothes, you know, on a regular basis, and we receive chunks and chunks of clothes. We receive money for sure, and we don't have set people who give us funds. It's a very huge crowd, and so I mean,
Yeah, nothing is like big or small. Like
yeah.
1 rupee or X amount of money, it's
Equally important.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
it makes
as
a
long-
difference.
yeah,
It
as long
really
as-
makes a difference.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys started your online store also.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
So what's the backstory behind it?
So we started again. A big part of our goal was women empowerment, and just especially underprivileged women. They go through something like we can't even think about it, let alone like feel for them. I would love to say I want to give them like sympathy or my empathy, but I cannot. We are not in that position, and I don't think we will ever be able to understand what they go through. So something we really wanted was financial independence for those women, and so I think one of the ways that we thought was gonna benefit was teaching them some sort of a skill. So as I talked before, like crochet was something that we thought was like easy enough for them to understand and like get really good at. So we go to the slums, we teach them crochet work, different. They make very cute like flower bouquets, they make crochet tops, and we're also expanding right now. So we're looking at we're teaching them how to make crochet bags and crochet keychains and all sorts of crochet material, and and then we sell it on their behalf on this shop. So this is called wwc.shop plug. Go on Instagram and buy from us. But so this is an Instagram store we opened for, because initially when these products started were being built, I'd say 8 to 9 months ago, maybe more than that, we started selling them at stalls for different college fests and events. But then we realized we really want our reach to grow. The more the products sell, the more money the underprivileged women are gonna get. So then we opened an Instagram store, and Yeah, it's been going really great.
Like सारा पैसा उनको जाता है या
Yeah,
फिर you keep
100,
some
no,
part
no,
of
no.
NGO?
100% of
अच्छा.
it.
I think you guys put up a stall in our college as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I bought a top from there. I just remember.
Do you like it?
Amazing top. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Amazing top. It was so
Yeah.
good and very affordable
you.
as well.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
affordable.
because I just remembered I was sitting there. I was like, oh yeah, that top, that crochet
Yeah.
top I really
Yeah.
like is from you.
Yeah.
अच्छा, have you ever thought of empowering men?
Yeah, we have. So
Yeah.
initially, employment was based for everybody, not a specific gender. We thought that people need drivers, people need laborers, and there are different kinds of field that we can go into. But then we thought that it's better to upskill people because it was really difficult to find specific people wanting specific things, right? And we also focus on children because education is really important. So that is why we're right now focusing on one gender because we don't want to be everywhere. Because we won't be able to help everyone at once. So we want to start with a specific gender and then move on to others.
Yeah.
Not only men but like others as well. So yeah, I think
Also, just talking about the shop again, do you plan to like expand from like crochet to maybe like something else?
Yeah, 100%. So we already, along with crochet, we also have our merch that we sell. It's like oversized t-shirts in 4 different colors, 4 different styles, and it's also a great hit because right now, especially in college students, oversized t-shirts is like quite the thing. So yeah, we sell t-shirts as well, and we're definitely looking to expanding more. But yeah, we're trying to look for things especially that the women can make so that they get the most amount of money. Yeah.
And what are your like current or like some upcoming projects that you're working on and like you're really excited about and you just
So-
want to share?
right now we are expanding to different cities, and so we're looking into Hyderabad, we're looking into states like Bihar and a lot of other states as well, and so that's what we're majorly focusing on. And the next thing I think we're doing is so we are going to be like conducting a very big cleanliness drive, which is going to be where we're going to be collecting all the waste, all the plastic, and then we'll give it to a company who recycles it and makes it into a furniture. So it's going to be recyclable, and then we're going to so it's like working like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're focusing on.
अच्छा, you guys work in a team, so like as a team, तो काफी बार ये ऐसा होता है कि कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते हैं. तो आप चारों के बीच में कभी ऐसा हुआ है कि
Every day.
conflicts हो?
We're
No,
best
no.
friends.
Yeah,
We fight all the
yeah.
time.
It's also very difficult when you mix personal and professional life.
Definitely.
Because all of us met in like 8th, 9th grade, so we've seen like our puberty ages and like going into colleges, and now we're graduating also from colleges. So we've seen like literally each other basically grow up, and when you
Yeah.
mix professional life, it becomes really difficult. We've had conflicts, and the worst part is like when the conflict is within the NGO, it's understandable. Obviously, we're not gonna agree on the same thing all the time. It's basically like every day we were like, no, this is how this should be done, XYZ. But the problem arises when if our professional conflict comes in our friendship.
Right.
Like let's say a fight happened today, and then a week later, like let's say we're hanging out, and I'm just like not talking to her, like or like showing her like some sort of a shade because of that a week
Yeah.
ago's fight for the NGO. So I think that's like the major issue. If the fight remains within like the professional forum, it's fine. Like we get over it. It's not the end of the world. But yeah,
Yeah, also like 4 different people, 4 different perspectives. So I wouldn't say conflict, but I would say there's a lot of discussion on everything, because we try to maximize the minimize the errors,
Yeah.
and we try to find every loophole there can be, because
Yeah.
we don't want other people questioning us, so we
Yeah.
question ourselves first. And yeah,
so her way for minimizing errors is completely different from mine.
yeah.
And then there are 2 other co-founders, and their ways are also completely opposite. So when we try to talk about something and come to a conclusion, it gets difficult. Not all the time. We're on the same page, but like yeah, it happens.
Anshika, one more thing. So most लोगों ने ऐसे कोविड में से businesses start किए, small businesses, या people our age, अगर वो कुछ स्टार्ट करते हैं तो they decide कि हम business start करेंगे. So do you think somewhere if you start an NGO, seva, like you say, is more important for you than money itself?
I don't think so. We're all in different fields. All four of the co-founders, we're in completely opposite different fields. But the one thing in common is that we're all it's all for the benefit of the people. It's all for the people. So, for example, I'm pursuing law. She's doing psychology. One of our founders is doing medicine, and the other one is want to go into civil services. So, if you look, all four of the professions are completely different, but they all have one thing in common: is that it's for the people. So, I feel like this is something that, this is something that came from within us since school time, and because of that we started ANGO, and because of that all four of the fields, even though completely different, still at the same time is only for the social welfare of the people. So I don't think money ever played a role for us in this sense. Yeah.
And also, I mean, we don't have to compare the two. We don't have to compare our profession and our passion, right? I mean, and we're into service, but we're also not foolish that we won't earn anything for ourselves, right? But we will also focus on our professions. We can do both the things at the same time. We can earn money and give back to the society at the same time. So it shouldn't be a question where we are supposed to choose between earning money and then doing service, because we can do both at the same time.
Thanks for being so honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a question. Like, why do you think that NGO owners don't earn money?
No, just like on a personal level, because like honestly for me, I think money is more important than
Sure.
yeah,
You
like,
have to support yourself. Yeah.
Because like even I work with an NGO as well, which works for dogs. But over time I realized that maybe for me money is more important. That's why I thought I'd ask.
Sure.
Yeah. And then also one thing, so do you think we sustain up कर पाओगे क्योंकि like you said कि कोई civil service के लिए कर रहा है, do you think आप लोग coordinate कर पाओगे आगे भी like?
As Khushi said, that one thing that is common is the fact that we're all in professions that are for people. Like I am pursuing psychology, I will always be dealing with people, I will always be helping people. She's in law, so I mean she will always have to deal with people. So I mean we're all in professions that will always have to deal with people, and we're in professions that AI cannot replace. So I think we're in it for the long term and we will sustain it. And as far as managing our schedules go, we're still doing it. I understand that people say that college students don't do anything, but we do a lot and we still manage it. So I think with the time and as we go along, we will be able to manage it. Hopefully.
That's great.
And like do NGOs and government and the government work together ever?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
We're also registered under the Trustees Act of 1882, and we're under the quick response team category. So whenever something happens, any catastrophe, anything, so they call us, they want us on ground immediately, and that's what we're here for. So
Even during the Mayur floods, most governments came together with NGOs and worked along with the NGOs to help people. At that point, the primary focus was to help people. It was not anything else. So that was one place where I saw, a unilateral collaboration of governments and NGOs, and I think it was beautiful.
And like, okay, so you're like in third year, right?
Yeah.
So do you sometimes feel ki we're also in like second year, but we're not running an NGO. Do you feel ki maine to aise, like I've done something big? Like do you feel proud of yourself that like I've achieved something, I'm doing something that most people my age aren't doing? Because that is very honestly true that most of us aren't doing aren't running like a full established NGO. So what do you like are you satisfied with yourself? Are you proud of yourself? And do you just give yourself a pat on the back at times?
Not
that-
really.
Yeah.
No.
Never.
Because we see this is seva. It's not an achievement. It's not like a
Yeah.
trophy that we can put like on a mantle somewhere. It's completely different from that. It's the more we do, the more we think ki there's so much more.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I don't think it's like a, we're proud of ourselves, that's for sure, but it's not an achievement. It's something that, you know, comes from the
On
heart.
most days, we have this proper breakdown of the fact that we're not doing anything,
Yeah.
and we're
All the
not
time.
making enough impact. So we've had this conversation so many times, and then one of us calms the other down, and we're like, no, it's fine, we're doing okay. But yeah, I mean, it happens all the time, and also it may look really like shiny from the outside, but also there are a lot of people who just think that, you know, time pass चल रहा है, and ठीक है, चल रहा है, खत्म हो जाएगा, जा रहे हैं स्लम्स में, जा रहे हैं, वापस आ रहे हैं, ठीक है, कुछ ज़्यादा बड़ी चीज़ नहीं है. And in the NGO world also, if you look from outside, a lot of people think that, you know, NGOs are used for money laundering businesses, or like बस पैसे घुमाने हैं, black से white करना है. So people don't have that much respect for NGOs. Like we do, because we want, you know, certificates for our CVs and all of that. And college students these days do, because we have compulsory subjects also. But people older than us don't. Honestly, don't. And they're just like, okay, fine, you're running an NGO, but like, what are you doing in real life?
Yeah.
That's what we get. So yeah.
अच्छा, what is your ultimate goal? कि like जब WWC इस स्टेज पे पहुंच जाएगा तो हम समझेंगे कि हाँ, हमने कुछ अचीव कर लिया.
I don't think there is an ultimate
Getting
goal.
recognized by UN for sure.
Yeah, that's
That's
part
the
of it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think again, it's like the more we do, the more we realize there's so much more that we can do. So I mean, yeah, there are a few things on. We have a checklist for sure, like getting recognized from the United Nations and a few other things. But like for example, very recently we wanted to get recognized by Niti Aayog, and we just did very recently.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you. So yeah, we do have a checklist like that. So let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a goal, I think it just you know, puts you in like a straight path where you don't like look left or right. And I think we have a lot to explore. We're still just 21, so I mean, we have a long way to go.
But like, since you guys, you know, do run like an NGO, and obviously there are like a lot of other people as well who are working towards, you know, maybe the same causes. Do you think like, you know, change aa raha hai, like maybe it's coming slowly, but it's coming, like especially with like, you know, the state of our country, you know, like just as slums, and most of our population is in slums, you know, and a lot of people are unemployed. The unemployment rate is pretty high. So do you think it is making a change? Obviously, you know, people like you, as well as, you know, like people with the same mindset are working towards the same goal.
For sure. I mean, so there's a massive difference on how the governments also work. When we go to slums in Delhi and when we go to slums in UP, there's a massive difference. And I mean, we see that, you know, slums in Delhi are properly shaped, properly made. And so there is a difference. And I mean, what difference to hai. And if we thought that we are not making change, we wouldn't be working for so long. Yeah, I think we are. And yeah, I think we are making a difference. Because even when we provide employment, you know, it gives financial independence from a lot of things such as domestic violence also. Initially, there were a lot of women, and one of the major reasons for domestic violence is financial stigma. It is, you know, like the financial strain on the family. So if we, you know, give employment to women as well, then it gets divided, and they have their own money to support themselves on. So they don't have to depend on anyone who's hitting them. That's just, that's the change.
So just like, you know, as something to like conclude this podcast, what would you like to, you know, tell the viewers? Something, anything. It could be like a personal advice, motivation. This is something we ask all our guests. Or, you know, just something, because since you guys are from an NGO, so for you we'll also say something just about like, you know, the world and the society you would like to share. Anything basically.
I would like to say just make change, however small, however big. You don't. There's when you're doing seva, there's nothing small or big. Either you wanna you want to do something outside of your comfort zone, or if you want a proper establishment, you can join a NGO, any organization. You can start your own NGO. Yeah, nothing is big or small. Just do something. If you can also yeah, you can also buy from our shop. That is also making change. Yeah, just anything.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I just feel like if you want to do something, just go for it.
Yeah.
And there is a very, this is like what I go through and I, believe in. If you want to make change, you have to become the change. And
100%.
if you have to, it's not, it doesn't have to be an NGO, it doesn't have to be social service. Even if it's something in your profession that you want to go for, just go for it. Just go for it, give it a try. Because we did, and it worked out for us.
Yeah.
So I think it'll work out for others as well.
Yeah, as Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to
Wanna
see in
see,
the world.
yeah.
So yeah.
And if anybody like wants to volunteer with you, what's the process? Like just like
So you can go to our website www.
warriorswithoutcause.com.
forgot the name.
No, I.
उसके शॉप चल रहा था.
Yeah.
Do I have to register or I can directly talk to you?
I mean, yeah, you can directly approach us as well.
Yeah, but you'll have to fill out the form.
Fill the
There's
form.
There's an
a
interview
procedure.
process.
Yeah. There's a proper procedure. You just fill out the form, and on your email you'll get the time of your interview. It'll be like a short 5-10 minute interview, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking out time for
Thank
us.
you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you for
Great.
having us. Yeah.
So guys, thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in to Rawcast.
This is Raj
This is Annika.
signing off.
Bye.